Hey guys, what's going on? Today is day 26, my 365-day walk in Scripture. Today we'll be reading through Hebrews chapter 11, verses 13 through 22. Let's go ahead and look at that. These all died in faith, not having received the things promised, but having seen them and greeted them from afar, and having acknowledged that they were strangers and exiles on the earth. For people who speak thus make it clear that they are seeking a homeland. If they had been thinking of a land from which they had gone out, they would have had the opportunity to return. But as it is, they desire a better country, that is, a heavenly one. Therefore God is not ashamed to be called their God, for he has prepared for them a city. By faith, Abraham, when he was tested, offered up Isaac, and he who had received the promise was in the act of offering up his only son, of whom it was said, "Through Isaac shall your offspring be named." He considered that God was able to even raise him from the dead, from which, figuratively speaking, he did receive him back. By faith, Isaac invoked future blessings on Jacob and Esau. By faith, Jacob was dying, blessed each of the sons of Joseph, bowing in worship over the head of his staff. By faith, Joseph, at the end of his life, made mention of the exodus of the Israelites and gave directions concerning his bones. So, we're continuing on this story of Abraham in Hebrews, and actually he's talking about not just Abraham, but when he talks about these all died in faith, he's also talking about Isaac and Jacob and Joseph and the people who are the patriarchs of their faith at the time. So at this point, it talks about a true believer or a true person who is like this is represented the same way that Christ was. They have no true home that they see right now. They see something in the future, but it's not here. And some people would argue that's not even here on earth. It's only in heaven. You will never have a true home here on earth. I believe that God gives us a place to stay, a place to be, a place to rest through this hard life. But in the long run, you have to look at the future, not the now, but the eternity. The eternity states, that once this old body is gone and dead, we shall still be alive and living in the light, in the light of the sun. That's O instead of a U. But anyways, they desired this. They continued to desire this. So much so that Abraham told Sarah that he had to go do an offering. He took Isaac up on the hill, and Isaac, I can only picture Isaac walking up the hill going, "Dad, where is the goat or the lamb?" or something to sacrifice. And Abraham was kind of like, God will provide. God will provide. He tied him up. Or he made the altar. Tied up Isaac. Put him on the altar. Had his knife in his hand. Went up to swing. And God said, stop. Now that's faith. Some people would argue, well, God told him he'd have heirs, so of course it won't matter, and all this stuff, and whatever. And some people go as far as to say, God gave it to him, why would he take it from him? I go as far as to say, when you have someone who you love dearly, and God made you that promise, it's hard to give it up sometimes. But we need to realize as Christians that everything that we, quote, own is God's. And if he wants to destroy it, he will. If he wants us to use it, we will. Now, I'm not saying he doesn't give us possessions to hold on to. But in the long run, it's all his. So what he wants to do with it, he can do with it. But through this, yes, Abraham did not see the promised land. He did not, see the Israelites come into it and celebrate and worship and all that stuff. But through his son blessed his grandchildren. His grandchildren went on to become two big patriarchs in the family. I mean, in the belief, they bore so many children. You have this family just kind of blow out, and they become this great nation, millions and millions and millions of people, and the story just goes on further and further. At some point, I want to tell the entire story. It's such a beautiful story. It's such a heart-wrenching story, but it's beautiful. So, remember that even though you may not see the fruits of your labor here on earth, you will eventually see them in heaven. Even though you may not see that sister or brother or that friend or coworker come to Christ, later on down the road, your little small seed you planted could have possibly go further, and eventually they'll become a Christian. Or that little project you helped out with goes further than you ever imagined. That journey you start will eventually come to an end. In a good way. So, remember, as we're going through our day today, to just realize that even if it doesn't happen here on earth, eventually every plan that God has made, every promise that God has made will come to fruition. And at the end, we'll be better for it. Alright, guys. Just think of this scripture today and kind of just, inhale it. As I always say, go to awordforyou.org if you want to continue following. If you want to join in on the challenge, there's a contact form. It's called Join the Challenge in the top right-hand corner of the page. Click it, fill out the request form. I'll get an email. Either me or one of my partners will get an email. We'll set you up an account. We'll send you an email telling you exactly what you have to do to post and things like that, and bam, you'll be doing it right along with us. We'll keep it archived, we'll have some fun, and you can just join in along with us. Alright, guys. Well, I'm going to get off here. I'll talk to you later. Grace and peace.